It's been a great show today. If you missed any of our interviews, Brad Edwards, Chris Stewart, Peter Radacus, you just heard Trey Wallace. Wow, I mean, Trey just did not hold anything back in regards to the Alabama Crimson Tide and that loss.
That's the reaction you get when you come on these airwaves and you make the national title prediction. And he owned up to it, and he was a great sport. But I think that what Trey said echoed what a lot of Alabama fans were saying. Conrad said it as much. Certain things aren't physical effort, care. I mean, when things are jumping out to him, guys line up in the wrong gap.
Well, the coaches said it was all fixable. So that's what they said after the game. That's what they said on Monday.
Okay.
So we will see. For the first time ever, if you're going to the game this weekend at Bryant-Denny Stadium, Saban Field, you're going to see logos on the field for the first time ever. And it's a sponsorship by the U.S. Navy's Maritime Industrial Base Program. The logos on the field are going to read Build Giants, Alabama. It'll be featured on both 25-yard lines. So the first time ever, Alabama will have that on the field, just like you will see Yellowwood on the field at Auburn University. According to On3, a longtime Alabama donor is talking off the record, quoting that big-time donor, in which On3 says this guy's got enough money to where his portrait is now it's hanging in the Donor Hall of Recognition at Bryant-Denny Stadium. He says, we're spoiled, always have been, but when we put a team out there that looks uninspired like we have far too many times these past 2 years and lose to teams that we're clearly more talented than, that's when it becomes a problem and not just a bunch of spoiled fans griping. End of quote. So that comes from a high-powered donor to the University of Alabama football program. Kalen DeBoer met with the media today on an SEC teleconference. He says that they were extremely upset about the game and the outcome on Saturday. He gave a couple of injury reports. He said that Jam Miller potentially could play next week against Wisconsin. That would be huge. Also, Tim Keenan will not be available this week, but he's doing really well and making the progress that we could expect. This is not a long-term injury. Just reading between the lines, I think you will see Tim Keenan and also Jam Miller on the field playing against Wisconsin. That's my words, not DeBoer's.
Unless they flush this season, they just opt out the rest of the year.
Possibly.
Kidding.
You never know.
But you never know these days.
No, you don't. So the text line is open at 205-834-9450, brought to you by Courtesy GMC. The phone number is as well at 1-800-239-WJOX.
Greg's in Russellville. Hey, Greg.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
We're doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm always good.
You are, of all the people that called in call into this show, listeners, you are right there at the top as most upbeat. Always. Doesn't matter.
Well, I appreciate that. I love the show.
We love you calling in. What's going on?
But I got a couple of different things. The first thing, one thing about Auburn game, and then the other about Alabama. I'll make it real quick. I got one of the guy I graduated college with lives in Waco, Texas, and got a ranch down there. And so we decided to do a little wager, and I told him I was going with Auburn, or I wasn't going to do the wager. And he said, well, I guess I'll go with Baylor then. And he said, you should be giving me something extra because Baylor's only had one winning season in the last 5 years. And I said, we'll work something. I said, what you got on your end? And so he said, if Auburn wins, I'll send you a 40-pound box of steaks off of his ranch.
Ooh.
And I said, well, that'll work. So Auburn won. So I got 40 pounds of steaks coming. So I'll grill them up and bring y'all some. How about that?
That would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. You said 40 pounds? 40
pounds he's sending to me on a truck with the frozen ice stuff and all that good stuff.
Dang.
So he has a ranch down there in Waco, Texas. I graduated college with him in Alabama. So anyway, he thank goodness, because I had a little bit more on the money end. I was going to have to pay out above those steaks too. So you know how much that would have been.
Sure.
So I'm glad Auburn won.
No, your wife, is it your wife that's the big Auburn fan?
she's my fiance. We keep putting off the little thing, you know. Yeah, she's an Auburn fan, but she was happy. She said, but I just want to see it against some SEC schools now. So anyway, she's kind of taking it in stride. She's pretty good. But as far as Alabama, I think Alabama's biggest problem, the offense, I think, played some okay, but they got a lot of improvements. But now I used to live down in Tampa, and I used to go to games in Tallahassee back when Bowden was there. And that atmosphere seemed like it was a lot like those days. So I think that had a lot to do with, some of these young players too. But I think my biggest thing is, when a player mouths off like that quarterback, somebody on the defense needs to be an alpha male and show him in the first quarter what's what. And we don't have any players on defense like that. What do you think?
I don't know, and some people might disagree with that, but I did hear that there are several Alabama players you could point to in the past that would have been handled in the first quarter. I
believe so too, and that makes a big statement.
He looked entirely too comfortable for 4 quarters and doing what he was doing, and a credit to him for backing up his words and everything that he said in the offseason. But
I didn't see but one player in the background in the backfield the whole ball game. That's when Saab come up and blitzed.
Yeah,
that was the only time we ever got in their backfield.
That's what it seemed like, anyways.
But anyway, that was just my take. I just wanted to see what y'all thought about it. But we need a couple of guys on defense to step up, and maybe it is, one of our guys out right now that could be that leader. But it's like we have no leadership on defense.
Put me down for medium rare.
All right. I'll fix you up.
Thank you, Greg. We appreciate you.
Day.
All right, you too. Let's go to BB. Hey, BB.
Hey, how y'all doing?
We're well. How are you?
I'm good. I have had a few days to process the weekend, and I'm sorry I missed Conrad's capitulation tour yesterday, but
we need a T-shirt. That's good.
Did Alabama's loss drive you to start drinking again?
Oh, no, that'll never happen.
All right, good.
No. So 2 comments. On Alabama specifically, I see more fire and passion in the coaches on my sixth graders sideline at their games than I saw Saturday. I thought it was really sad. It looked so flat. And it was unfortunate. There was a lot of hype over the summer. We really played these guys up. They've got the best offense. They got the best defense. Everything's going to be just fantastic. And what really bothered me was, did they not know that for the last year and a half, this was going to be the ultimate grudge match? Were they not prepared for the fact that Florida State, coming off of not making undefeated team at the season, not going to the playoffs, and Alabama getting in, they made this personal. And if Alabama coaching did not coach that up going into Saturday, they missed the boat. Because that's where the drive had to come from, because we knew, at least the fan base knows, heading into Tallahassee, this was going to be the ultimate cage match after that fiasco in terms of what Florida State felt season before last. Anyway, that's my comment there. I like to do the 30,000-foot view kind of thing. I'm not a stats person. I don't remember names and stuff like that. I watch the play as it evolves. But my concern is that, okay, we have now this whole NIL structure, all of this. College football has become Moneyball. It is no longer a college-centric approach, in my opinion. And we are going to see, not just Alabama, but depending on how the other teams roll out for the rest of the season, a major bleed with 4- and 5-star recruits. And this is turning into, okay, You pony up the money, you can buy your team. And that's what we're going to see next year. That's what we're going to see the year after that, until they go into NFL-like conferencing, which is what that's ultimately pointing toward. I guess overall, my one adjective for the whole situation after Saturday was I am enormously disillusioned with all of it. And I just came away, kudos to the winners, but I came away from the weekend thinking, meh, I really don't care. Now, I'm going to watch them play. I hope they get better. But I think we're going to see more of this. We're going to see more where NIL has really pulled the rug out from under what can be built. Because if Alabama continues to lose, especially key games where they could turn it around, their recruiting prospects are going to be abysmal. And we're just going to see another year of disaster. So anyway, hey, if Molly, are you going to be at Taco Tuesday next week at Social Taco? If you're going to be in there, let me know, and I'll bring you a cake.
She will be there. What kind of cake you want, Molly? She's talking to you. Sorry, she was busy doing something. What kind of cake you want?
Ooh.
Next Tuesday.
I like chocolate and red velvet. That's probably my two favorites.
Okay.
Thank you,
Those
BB.
are fan favorites, so
and they're really good.
Wasn't Nick Saban's favorite cake the carrot cake?
Whose?
Nick Saban. Didn't he like the carrot cake? Is that the one?
Oh, I don't know, but that's my favorite. But I don't think that's a big draw for Social Taco. I think chocolate or red velvet's going to have to take the day. So I'll get you fixed up. I hope you have a wonderful birthday.
Thank you so much, BB. That's very sweet.
Thank you, BB. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
She's right. I mean, that's the next shoe that potentially could fall in the Alabama program is they're still holding on to some really outstanding high school recruits. When does, people start talking in their ears and then all of a sudden you find yourself in a situation where those guys are decommitting? So
it's a reality. The good news is with some of these kids, not saying that are committed to Alabama, but it really doesn't matter. The highest bidder gets the player.
Yep.
It works both ways.
Well, and the other part that she was talking about is, okay, you start, this thing starts unraveling, and most people are saying right now, based on the interaction that we've had, we're not officially calling that, but so many people believe that they are seeing the beginning of a very long season. And when you say very long season, I mean, we're talking about potentially historically bad based on that one game. I'm talking about the fans. I'm not talking about what we're predicting.
Right.
I still believe that there is room for improvement, and it's not always as bad as it seems, and it's definitely not as good as it always seems. So it's kind of in the middle. But if it goes as bad as some people feel it's going to go, and I'm not talking about the people around the team, I'm talking about the fans, you're going to see people not spend money. And when you don't spend money, that doesn't go to the university's licensing program, which ultimately will go to the players. And then you will start having NIL problems, because right now, Alabama is not one of the richest NIL programs in the SEC. That was before A.J. McCarron ran his mouth. I mean,
yeah.
Alabama is not one of the upper tier NIL programs in the conference, but they're not poor. But when you start getting now going to have to pony up and pay a lot of money to get rid of Kalen DeBoer as opposed to paying for a Ryan Williams, then all of a sudden you got a bigger problem on your hands.
Yeah, that's true. And as far as the rest of the season and the outlook, we still don't know what this version of Alabama, good Alabama, looks like. And here's the thing. You might not have an issue. They might play Georgia, lose the football game, and say, I have no issue with the effort, and they played a really good game. They just played a really tough team in a tough place to play.
Who in the right mind last year after beating Georgia at home would have lost to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma and a shell of its former self Michigan team in the bowl game with your starting quarterback and everybody opting in to play? So that's what I'm saying. I mean, you just don't, for whatever reason, this coaching staff is it is just Jekyll and Hyde in regards to the way they go about getting the kids ready for these games.
Well, go back to that particular game you're talking about where Alabama was Jekyll in one half and could have lost the game. Team that made a run. Do we get?
They go to LSU and they embarrass. That was just Alabama. Baton Rouge. Aggravates.
This is not just for Kalen DeBoer. I hear this a lot, and maybe it's more so now than ever. But my antennas go up and red flags are raised when I hear we've had a good week of practice.
Do you remember a couple years ago?
More often than not these days, when you hear that, that team loses.
Do you remember a couple years ago?
Well, you can't remember if he says that or not at this point. So,
don't you remember me and you talking about this? The reports that I was getting at times about how their weeks were going at practice.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And it never correlated.
No.
Ever.
Let's go to Kenny.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Kenny, how was Tallahassee?
Good. It was fun, man. Until you told me I got ghosted on the way down there. You told me Conrad wasn't going to be down there. He's going to be somewhere else watching the game. So
yeah, Kenny texted me, and Kenny said, "Hey, I want to meet up with Conrad." And I said,
yeah.
I said, Conrad thinks y'all are going to get beat, so Conrad's not going to the game, and he was right.
Kenny.
Are you there, Kenny? You kind of in a bad cell.
Put him on hold.
Check him out, Conrad.
Navigate his way through the cell.
Yeah.
By the way, did you see Mike Gundy reenacting the commercial?
Mm-hmm. The consumer
cellular,
whatever it is.
Yeah. The 40-year-old reenacting it.
Now he's 60.
He's a young 60.
Is Kenny back? No, he's not. He's going to call back.
I don't know. Couldn't hear him.
Oh, okay. There you go. Please call us back, Kenny. Kenny was at the game. He really did. He texted me, and he asked me if Conrad was going to be at the game because he wanted to meet up with Conrad.
Conrad was another Florida.
That's what I told him. He was shocked. All right. We will try Kenny again in a few moments. Kenny, if you're listening, try to call us back in a bad cell. Love to get your thoughts because he was there. He was in Tallahassee at Doak Campbell for the game. We are minutes away from some Pat Ponders. Join us for the rest of the way. This is Three Man Front on Jox. 122, Jox. This is Three-Man Front, 1-800-239-WJOX. I want to remind everybody, this month only at Courtesy GMC in Trussville, it's the kickoff sales event, and we're bringing the lowest prices in the Southeast right there in Trussville at Courtesy GMC. Get up to $15,000 off the all-new 2025 Sierra 1500, or go bigger with the Sierra 2500 HD, up to $12,000 off. And it's not just trucks. Drive off in a Yukon or Acadia with up to $5,000 off the savings. Plus, every new GMC will come with an exclusive 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Visit their online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com. You can also go by and see them off of exit 32 I-459 in Trussville.
We have the phone lines open. 205-834-9450, 800-239-WJOX. Kenny, we're going to try again. Hey, Kenny.
Hey, man. How y'all doing?
Doing great. You sound great.
Good. Good. I've had the privilege of being at the two biggest disasters in Alabama history in the last year. So I was in Vanderbilt when it all blew up in my face with an Alabama crowd that was 70-30, and drove down to Tallahassee and found out I was going to get ghosted by Conrad and walked in the stadium, and it felt crazy. I'm like, those Florida State fans, mate, they were not in the least bit intimidated by Alabama. Their fans walked in there like they had won 10 games last year instead of winning 2 games. The atmosphere was great, and if you've never been in that stadium, man, when the Chiefs come out there on the horse with the Pinto and they light that torch, that was crazy. So it was a great atmosphere.
All right, well, let me ask you this. The people that you were sitting around that were Alabama fans, what was the general consensus as the game was percolating? Oh,
after their first touchdown, everybody got confident, said this thing is over with. And Florida State came right back, and you could feel it changing. After they scored that, I think after they got up 17-7, I told my wife, if they score again, this game is over with. And you could see it. They were playing harder. They were hitting hard. They were tagging Ryan Williams. I felt sorry for him. But they were hitting hard. They were in the backfield. It was crazy. But like I said, the atmosphere was fantastic.
Kenny, in real time, as you were watching that game with your wife, did it seem like Alabama wasn't giving maximum effort?
Oh yeah, you could see it. Yeah, you could see it. It looked like they were loafing. It was like somebody walked out there, very confident, I guess off of a pass, and somebody hit, and they got hit in the mouth, and then like everything changed.
Yep.
And Florida State kept hitting them in the mouth, and they never let up. So it was crazy. It was crazy. It's shocking to I guess to witness what happened in Alabama, but this guy's breaking all kind of records now, man. With bad records. And I started thinking about. I think I heard one of y'all mention last week that every year there was a team that started out in the top 10 and finished outside the top 25. I'm like, oh Lord, the record this guy's breaking. I'm like, if that happens in Alabama, it's really gonna get bad.
All right, so listen, you're obviously, you and your wife, you travel around the country. You have been to more Alabama games than I can recall. Just tell us, do you think that we have seen the rock bottom yet, or you think that's coming later this season?
It's hard. It's really hard to tell, Pat, because like the NIL and transfer portal has changed everything. These college players, they have more power than the coaches. Matter of fact, these college players have more power than NFL players who are professionals. They can leave when they want. They get money. They get in the transfer portal. They don't have to sit out anymore, so they got all the power. Until that changes, I don't see what Nick Saban did will never happen again because of the money. I don't see anybody that can build a football program that will come close to what Nick Saban did now with all the money and the control and the power they have. So unless that changes, I don't see anything. It's going to get worse.
To get this trend with you going to games, turn around in the right direction, of course, we know the bad luck that Conrad brings to almost every facet of his life. What if the two of you get together and go to Athens?
I mean, I'm scared to go to Athens. After what I saw last week, I couldn't imagine. I mean, Florida State was 2-10 last year, and they dominated Alabama. I couldn't imagine with Alabama, the way Alabama has owned Georgia, the frustration that they'll take out on Alabama. And I honestly don't think DeBoer has control of that team. So I couldn't even imagine walking off into that stadium. Georgia fans would probably try to hang some Alabama fans off the side of the stadium because of all the frustration from the past defeats.
One of our listeners just texted in and said, please ask Kenny to stay home for the big games.
I will. Definitely will.
Well, here's the thing. Kenny, and I've known Kenny for a long time, and You and your wife, I mean, I'm not talking about like you guys like jump in for like a 2 or 3 hour trip or just driving down to Tallahassee. I mean, you guys have jumped on airplanes and flown all across it. You were in Madison, Wisconsin last year.
Yes.
Watching the Wisconsin game. So my question is, does this going to maybe perhaps deter you and your wife from spending your hard-earned disposable income to go root for Alabama with this current coaching staff?
Yeah, my wife said we ain't taking no more road trips.
Smart woman.
Yeah. I got a Jalen Hurts jersey and the Philadelphia Eagles stuff, so I might be switching over.
It's a long weekend, especially when you travel across the country to go see your favorite college football team. But there ain't nothing worse than traveling back after an L.
Yes, it is, man. But like I said, I love college football, but I just think until they get control of NIL and transfer portal, it's gonna get bad. Because like I said, I couldn't imagine being 18 years old, somebody give me $2 million, I'm going crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah, there's no doubt.
But yeah, like I said, I'm concerned, but Alabama's they stuck with DeBoer for a while. Until he gets control of that team, I don't see anything changing. And so.
Well, Kenny, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for calling, and
thanks, Kenny.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Yes, appreciate y'all.
Thank you. That's Kenny.
Let's go to Mark. Hey, Mark.
What's going on?
Hey, what's up?
I can't tell it. Diehard Alabama fan. I've never called Jox before, but I decided to call y'all because I would like your personal answer to two questions. Number one, I haven't listened to any Alabama stuff. I graduated from Alabama, grew up in an Alabama family, went to my first Alabama game when I was 8. Been to a ton of them. Is there anything that I'm missing besides a team going on to a competitive field and not playing to their potential? Is there anything, the reason that they don't do that? Is there any other reason besides coaching? Because there wasn't when I played. Of course, I know it was different when I played. But if you didn't play when I played, you didn't play. And I just wonder how much of what you think Saturday with Alabama happened was coaching.
Well, it comes back to culture. Attitude reflects leadership. We've talked about that. I'm a firm believer in that. So if you're asking if there's anything else that would have led to that, I can't think of anything. And that's the culture you create. You create a sense of urgency. You find ways to motivate your team like Nick Saban was so masterful at in the weeks where you're playing Georgia Southern and the likes of those folks. How you don't get up for the first game of the season after everything that happened last year and all those guys coming back. And this is going to be your year. It's going to be your stamp and bring back the standard. And you go and you half-A it for four quarters, 3.5 quarters.
But even that, guys, I mean, y'all been around long enough. Florida State went through a really rough patch the last few years, okay? They were, 2-10 last year?
Yeah.
But they're still Florida State. They still have the ability to put a heck of a field. Nobody put a meaner defense on the field than Florida State did when Mickey Andrews was there, period.
Yep.
I mean, they were that good. So before I run out of time, let me ask you another question, which is really what I want. I talk to my kids' friends and a lot of these kids, and they're all about, he should get paid this, he should get paid that. Well, my parents and I had to pay for my college education. My wife and I paid for my kids' college education. They act like that they don't get anything, which is spurs me to begin with. And I'm an old timer. I understand that. 63 years old. I understand that. But my question to you is, through all of the end of last year and all this build-up, you used to could say, well, so-and-so's got this coming back and so-and-so's, this team's got these guys coming back. And you pretty much could make a relatively decent educated guess about how good that team was going to be. In this day and age, it's like you got to wait until fall camp starts to see who's even there. My question is, my personal attitude, and this is just my attitude, is it's hard for me to care right now as hard as I did. Okay? It's real hard for me to care. Now, I'm still an Alabama fan through and through, don't get me wrong. But I'm talking about as far as living and dying and eating and breathing and everything else. Do you think this age, everybody's been talking about NIL and the player side of it. The game still runs around money. Money comes from TV. TV comes from, it's just what it is. It's a giant money game. We all know that. Do you think that it could get to the point that it would hurt some of the universities as far as some of the people, just the average fan that was giving some money to the university just kind of says, hey, I'm kind of disenfranchised with it. I'm not going to play this game anymore. Do you think that could happen?
I would like to think that the voice of the people would have an impact, but unfortunately, based on the large television contract, I would like to think that the voice of the people would have an impact, but unfortunately, based on the large television contracts and the media deal, I don't know if Joe Q Pub matters to the universities. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. I don't think I don't think it matters anymore. I think the SEC and the Big Ten and these other conferences, they make so much money off the television deals that at the end of the day, because look at how much the universities now charge for tickets, not only tickets, but now you also have to give an X amount to a scholarship fund. And then you have to, pay all these additional fees that goes along with just being a season ticket holder.
But also to your point, Mark, if people stop buying season tickets, stop showing up, you stop having the economic impact that it has on these small college towns, that will certainly get their attention.
Well, I mean, I just can't believe I'm the only one out there that feels like that. I'm not saying that. I'm not going to say because the NIL started that the University of Alabama and places like that, their game day experience is going to collapse. It's never going to happen. Sell some tickets. There's a ton. If they can.
Well, DeBoer is about to set back anymore either. Going 2-10 roster immediately.
Curve. I haven't listened. I haven't really looked on the internet, but listen to. I favor y'all's opinions. And by the way, since we're talking about it, I don't think Conrad's appearance or non-appearance in an Alabama game's got a darn thing to do with it. But y'all could
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate all the people that think I have more power than I do, but unfortunately, I do not.
But I just don't. And I understand that, but I don't think that the average fan has got the guts to go through this, and I don't know what Ryan Williams' issue is, and I don't mean to point out one guy. The only reason I point him out is he's the only guy we had last year that was a national name on our team. And everybody wonders why we weren't that good last year. Well, it's just like we're on there not good this year. We used to have 3 of those guys at wide receiver that was a national name.
Mark,
now we've got 1.
You're so right. Great points. We got to run. You call anytime. Thanks for listening to Jox. Thanks for listening to the 3-Man Front. Pat Ponder's on the way next. 138 here on Three Man Front. We got the NFL cranking up tomorrow. You can hear the NFL right here on Jox. Coming up Friday, we got college football slate. James Madison taking on Louisville. That would be your headliner, I guess, but other action, including Northern Illinois taking on Maryland. That game's 6:30 on Friday on the Big Ten Network. Tell you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best way to win cash this football season. Which players are going off, which ones are not. You make your picks in less than 60 seconds. Turn your takes into cash all season long on Prize Picks. It's really simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. Download the app today. Use code WJOX to get $50 in lineups instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even have to win. That's code WJOX to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. We will go professional football tomorrow. Tonight, we will go Major League Baseball. Keep it simple. The Braves trying their best to get swept by the Chicago Cubs. Pat loves so much. Hits, runs batted in. A combination of all three of those, more or less than 1.5 for one. Ronald Acuna Jr. I'm going to go more for Ronnie on that. And then on the flip side, PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong. He is a fantasy warrior. I'm going to go more than 1.5 on hits, runs batted in for him. I hit on both of those projections. I win. You can win too. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. We continue here on Three Man Front. A lot of your texts that we'll get to. Pat's got questions we try to answer. This is what we call Pat Ponders.
I want to know what you're thinking. Tell me what's on your mind.
It's time for Pat Ponders.
Brought to you by Courtesy GMC out in Trussville off of exit 32 I-459. All right, so going into week 2, what needs to happen in Saturday's game that would calm the fears of most Alabama fans?
Well, first and foremost, show maximum effort even when you're up by 5 touchdowns. Come out with your hair on fire, but maximum effort, that's the minimum.
Defense looking competent, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's nothing. The effort thing obviously is the big one, but again,
scheme-wise,
cool, you put up effort,
hat on hat,
great.
There's nothing that I think Alabama can do.
No, it would be all intangible things like effort, and even then, I don't know if it's going to convince you that that's what you're going to see the next 10 games, right?
DeBoer getting a 15-yard penalty.
I'll tell you what, yeah. Let me see DeBoer chew somebody out on the sideline.
That'd be awesome.
I would love that.
Break a headset.
Spank his quarterback like Nick Saban did.
Somebody get fired up, yeah.
Tear the collar off your shirt.
Yeah.
Something. Grab a face mask. Can you do that anymore? You get in trouble for that now.
You get in trouble.
You get in trouble, but
Weak.
do it.
Soft. Yeah, do it anyways.
Do it anyways.
I don't care.
Wear a hoodie.
Well, and that's my thing at this point is I understand the sentiment of, well, you can't be hard on these guys. Obviously, it's not working out great the other way, so what's the worst thing that can happen by being tough on them now? Maybe it'll help them be better people, when they're older. Build some character.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. What are they going to do? Go cry in a corner because you yelled at them, cussed them out? Put on your big boy pants.
Is all of that NIL money guaranteed? Or is that some of it guaranteed and you get a game check? That'd be good. Something tells me they're not structured that way.
Yeah, I was about to say, if only you could find them for loafs, right?
Question number 2. Who is most likely to be coaching their current team in 2027? Not current 2026, 2027. Is it Bill Belichick, Kalen DeBoer, or Lane Kiffin?
Sorry, most likely or least likely?
Most likely to be coaching their current team in 2027. Belichick, DeBoer, or Kiffin?
Lane Kiffin.
Yeah. I think it goes Lane Kiffin most likely, DeBoer in the middle, Bill Belichick most likely to not be there.
I know I can't say none of the above. So I'm going to go Kiffin. Maybe he'll get some extension and stay. The rest of them will be gone, though.
He keeps writing Greg Byrne letters.
You're assuming Greg Byrne's going to be there.
Bum, bum, bum.
Question number 3. If Alabama had Texas or
Greg.
Texas A&M money, do you think Greg Byrne would have already made a change in DeBoer?
No.
I don't think so.
Not after 14 games.
No.
You got to give him the rest of the year. And he'll get more than that because of the money situation, but yeah, no. It's still too early.
No.
It's only been 14 games. I know
and
it's
Greg
been
Byrne made
awful
this
at
hire,
times.
so
Yeah.
if there's anyone pulling for Kalen DeBoer,
Yeah, no one
It's
wants him
Greg
to succeed
Byrne.
more than him, yeah.
Next question. If you could name one coordinator in the Southeastern Conference that will one day be a full-time head coach in this league, who would be your choice?
DJ Durkin.
DJ Durkin's a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
See, a few months ago, I might have said like Kane Womack because I thought he was trending in a pretty positive direction. Well, I'll say you'd say the same thing about Ryan Grubb potentially.
Yeah.
Let it keep trending this way. But I think Blake Baker.
That's good.
That's not a bad one.
Yeah.
It's just hard to because a lot of these guys, it's like they're coordinators by position, but the head coach, it's
Yeah.
like. Oh.
I'll say Blake Baker. That's a good answer.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know how to pronounce this dude's last name, but after this year,
Yeah, try it. That'll be entertaining. Go.
let's see, Pete Kwiatkowski.
Yeah, Texas.
Yeah.
He coached at Alabama, didn't he? Was he on the support staff at one time?
Feels like just about everyone was at one point
Yeah.
in time, right? Let's see. He was actually, before Texas, he was the DC at Washington.
Doesn't have
It's an
anywhere
interesting
Alabama
connection.
anywhere in his background, does he?
I don't know. We'll see. But with how good that defense is right now at Texas,
Spell his last name.
KW. He has never been at Alabama,
Okay.
by the way. He's been at Boise State and Washington mainly.
Yeah, I thought he was a Northwestern guy. I don't think he's been in this part of the world.
Kwiatkowski. I'm looking
Kwiatkowski.
at the
There we go.
pronunciation guide. Kwiatkowski.
Yeah.
Yeah, they look like they might have the best. Now, you got to get the offense figured out, but they'll probably have the best. Right now, they have the best defense in the SEC, I think.
That's today's Pat Ponders, brought to you by Courtesy GMC. Visit their online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com.
Well, if you're looking for a place to catch all the NFL and college football action this weekend, you need to check out Big Whiskey's because they are the place for great food of all varieties with a full menu with apps, salads, burgers, and steaks. Their bar features unique cocktails, over 120 whiskey, including whiskey on tap, and plenty of screens that you can catch all the games all weekend long. So go in. They're going to have them all on the bar and the big screen, and they also have happy hour, and the kitchen is open late every night. Check them out in the Stadium Trace Village off Highway 150 near the Hoover Met.
Besides what happened in Tallahassee last weekend, the worst thing that Conrad has seen. Next.
It is 1:51. If you missed any of our interviews today, download the 3-Man Front podcast. Brian Edwards gave us some winners for this upcoming weekend, including some NFL. Chris Stewart, the voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide, a very honest conversation on what he saw last weekend in Tallahassee. Peter Raderkus, who covers the Auburn Tigers, AL.com, gave us his feelings on where the current status of the Auburn Tigers is. And Trey Wallace, you want to talk about an honest conversation. Here's an individual from Outkick that came on this show a week ago and told us that Clemson and Alabama would be playing each other for the national championship. Both teams lost, and he is absolutely off the Alabama bandwagon.
He did not say that Clemson would not be in there.
No, he believes Clemson will rebound nicely. Meanwhile, the things that he saw watching the game in Columbus, Ohio with other media members, he was extremely concerned about this Alabama football team.
Yep. It was really bad if you're an Alabama fan last Saturday. It could get worse. But the worst thing that Conrad has seen, here it is.
This is the worst thing I've seen.
Been in quarantine, and I need to get out and party. Woo! What's better than beach and a few drinks and Jeeps? Man, getting better than that. Law enforcement's definitely made their visitability and made people chill out and not be as crazy.
The cops are doing their job as long as they don't be mean to people who are actually being innocent. Then I'm all gravy, baby.
All right, well, let's lighten the mood a little bit, shall we? Let's try to have some fun. But first, we do have some actually really bad news before we get to the fun, worst thing I've seen story. And the really bad news would be that Scott Hansen was actually on the Pat McAfee show today. And if you're not familiar, Scott Hansen is the host of NFL Red Zone, which many people are a big fan of. If you're not familiar, the summary of it is basically you just get to watch all the good stuff, right? It shows you, it switches between all the games. You get to see all the scores. Great if you love fantasy football.
I was thinking you were talking about Chris Hansen, who was the Predator catcher. No. Sorry.
No, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
His cousin.
No. This is Scott Hansen, the host of Red Zone, but he went on the Pat McAfee show today where it was revealed that Red Zone will now have commercials. So instead of coming on the air and saying, get ready for 7 hours of commercial-free football, the new tagline will be, get ready for 7 hours of Red Zone football. So,
there should be no surprise ESPN has bought them.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what? I mean, they're going to turn this into a commercial entity.
Absolutely. And the comical part about it is during the interview on the Pat McAfee show, Pat McAfee's response was, well, people don't really care about the commercials, do they? Yes, Pat McAfee, the people hate the commercials, and that's one of the big draws of Red Zone. So congratulations, NFL, on selling out to ESPN.
Screwed something else up.
And watering down one of your greatest products, which was NFL Red Zone. So that was some bad news. But let's try to have a little fun here as we close out the show. Now, granted, not fun for the owner of this boat, but there was a luxury yacht that was recently constructed worth $1 million, and it was taking its maiden voyage off the shore of Turkey. And just 15 minutes into its maiden voyage, the panicked passengers and crew had to jump overboard as this $1 million luxury yacht began to sink. So you can see a video that shows the vessel. The ship's name is Dolce Vento. As it goes into the water, you can see in the video it quickly lurches to one side and then begins to plummet into the water. So it was the first time that the 85-foot boat had been launched after being delivered to its new owner from Istanbul. And 15 minutes into the maiden voyage, you had the owner, captain, and 2 crew members who had to jump overboard before being able to swim safely to shore without injury. And then the Coast Guard had to come in and set up a perimeter for the wreckage of this new boat. So
stabilizer issue.
I guess so. But yeah, certainly not what you want to see when you just spend $1 million on a nice new boat, and now it is sinking to the bottom.
I really hope you had let your insurance agent know that you had this boat and you had some type of coverage. But if you're spending $1 million on a boat, you'll probably survive. You won't like it, but you won't go hungry. That's going to do it for us. We appreciate all of our guests finding it at the podcast every single day. We appreciate all of you making this possible. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. God is great.